Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime, and I'm your host as always, Professor Prime. And today we're going to talk about math and Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors, a super awesome game and a blast from the past. But seriously, it is a blast from the past for me. I got the game not too much longer after it came out. Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors came out in 2002 on the Game Boy Color. I was 15 at the time and in high school. I'll be 34 in less than a month at the time of this recording. So, that's some math for you right there. But you know what? I'm not going to have an existential crisis about aging. You know why? Partially because I'm getting more awesome with age, but also, I've already had my existential crisis for today. And my quota is just one a day. No more. No less. But back to the topic at hand. Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors is an amazing game. And yeah, you expect it to be a fighting game because it's Dragon Ball. And that's true, but there's a tweak. There's a twist in the formula. It's a turn based card game. So I think I'm gonna have fun with this because I think this is the first turn-based card video game that I've talked about on this channel. I suspect it won't be the last. There might be an upcoming video, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Um, so yeah. But before we get too far into it, I do want to say spoilers ahead. To be honest, a lot of people at this point already know the story of Dragon Ball Z. And a lot of games covered. But just to be safe, if you don't want spoilers, you should avoid the video. If you don't care or you've already seen Dragon Ball Z, please feel free to stay. With that in mind, spoilers ahead, let's get into it. So here's how I see this video going down. I'm going to talk about math and how it's used in the gameplay. I'm going to talk about math and how it's used in the story without really getting into the plot elements because they don't really matter for what I want to talk about. And I'm going to talk about math and music for a little bit because to me that makes such a difference in games, or at least it has that potential. And I'll continue to talk about math and how it's used in this game in some other ways and somewhat in a meta sense. And throughout all of it, I'll be talking about my experiences with the game. So yeah, I'm going to have a blast. Let's get into it. So like I said, Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors is a turn-based card game. It's a turn-based card fighter. And that's wild to me. You might think that might not work well, but I assure you it works amazingly well, and it makes it unique. So here's how it goes. When you're looking at the big picture, there's 125 cards throughout the game, and they cover most characters, or most of the fighting characters in Dragon Ball Z, which doesn't happen in a lot of Dragon Ball games, unfortunately. And having that many fighters on a Game Boy Color game, that made it stand out at the time. But anyway, so it has a lot of fighters. There's 125 cards that you can collect throughout the game. You don't necessarily start with that. You have decks that you can use with 20 cards each, and you can choose those. So there's an element of strategy in that deck. And as you may have guessed by the use of numbers, yeah, there's already math in this. And let's talk about how battles work. So the way it works is there are attack and defense phases that you, as the player, will be going through, and it gets flipped for your opponent. And there are three main types of cards throughout the game. There are attack cards, there are defense cards, and there are support cards. There's also some stats involved here. So you have health, you have ki, you have strength, and you have speed. The health is what you expect. It, it gives you, health. It allows you to see how long you'll stay in battle. And as you're playing the game, you'll have to be looking at what your opponent's doing and playing the game with like how much health you have left. And now with the strength, it affects your melee attacks, and your key affects your energy blast. Your speed is an interesting thing because it kind of combines accuracy when you're on the offensive and when you're in the attack phase. And when you're in the defense phase, when you're going on that defensive, it becomes more of an evasion stat. Um, and it also acts like speed would traditionally. Like it can give you an advantage in this sort of game. So it could allow you to go first, or it could switch up like mid battle if you're boosting your speed, so you can get that tactical advantage. So speed, I think, is pretty important in this game because, well, it allows you to do three different things, and that's kind of crazy. But anyway, right? You have your attack cards, you have your defense cards, and like I said, you have your support cards. And with the support card, they allow you to do things like recover your health, boost your stats, and things like that. And so far, I hope you've been noticing, but all these things that I mentioned, they take a lot of math and they also take a lot of strategy, and that's really cool, right? Because each battle, you have 20 cards, right? And yes, you can choose them, but like you got to be careful what you choose. And if it's if it's your first playthrough, right? Then what you have is like limited. And the type of decks that they have is they have three decks that you could do. Like there's a limited deck where you can only add a few things, and like most of the things are going to be like the same. Um, Sorry, not the same, but like basically like if you have a limited deck, there are some set cards, so it's partially fixed with some slots open to kind of choose what you want to do. Then there's like an actual completely fixed deck, and then there's a deck that you choose, which I think that ends up being the better option once you unlock a lot. So yeah, you have so many options. And anyway, when you're in the attack phase, you have to also build up card costs. Um, card cost points. So that's the thing. Like certain cards in the game, they have card costs associated with them. Like they have CC associated with them. And so it's your job to like build it up. Now you could do a basic melee attack, and yeah, you'll do some damage. But if you do a command attack, like you have to do quick inputs. Like and it varies, but like I think basically there was like three to four. But if you're in certain situations, maybe more. But you have to do these quick button presses, and there's math in that with like how many buttons you have to press and the timing. And then the payoff is you accrue the card cost points, and you're able to use more damaging attacks. Like you can do more damaging physical attacks, and you can do your key blast. And so that sort of stuff is important. And then like for the defensive part of it, right? Like you could do like your defense where okay maybe you're blocking, or you can use your defense turn to like move and get some advantage that way. Like you can move up, you can move down, you can move back, you can move forward, and you could also use that defense phase for support cards, which again like some of them could actually let you recover health. Some of them might actually help you withstand some damage, and in general boost your stats. Like there's different options there, and then there's like some character specific cards. So that's like the basics for the gameplay. Like so I don't think it's that bad when you hear it out, but it's fascinating to me because you have to like think about a lot. There's a lot of strategy in it, and so what's really cool is one of the biggest things for me is like math is everywhere and in everything. And in this game, you're doing a lot of math. You might not be writing it down on a pen and a paper, but you're doing a lot of math, and that's really cool. And so now I want to talk about the story, just because one, I think one of the important things to mention is that yeah, it covers um, Dragon Ball Z. So from like the Sand Saga to the Buu Saga, right? And there's a decent amount of battles in there, right? There's a lot of stuff that they can pull from. And if you're playing the story mode, you end up with a total of 30 regular battles, but two extra that you can unlock. So you can have 32 battles in that story mode, and that keep you busy for a while. Especially because like for some of those fights, right? Like if you go in there and just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna rock everybody, you gonna get rocked, and you're gonna have to go back and train. And so it's really cool that it has that, and then it has a battle mode, which I think is like weirdly named because it's more like a survival mode where like you'll be fighting opponents until you lose, but you can only do it with one character. And the idea is that throughout the story mode and throughout this battle mode, you can build up experiences. I'm sorry, you can build up experience, and that allows your cover like your character to I guess I cover. It allows your character to level up and get stronger, and each character like has their own unique stats. So things can get interesting. But with the battle mode, not only does it allow you to build up experience, but it's another way to get cards. Like you could do that in the story. You get them after each battle. And yeah, so there's a lot to consider. And with the 30 battles in the story mode, right? Like the 10th battle, every 10th battle, there's a boss fight. Like so you get one with Frieza, one with Cell, and one with Boo. And within every battle, sorry, like right before every battle, you can save your game and you can modify your deck. So you're gonna be getting more cards and you can adjust your strategy. And so we talked about the story mode, we talked about the battle mode, and the other thing is just like versus mode where you can fight a friend. And I think that's just cool. They included that; it was an option. So those are like the three options, and we talked a lot about the gameplay. So with that in mind, I hope that you heard some of this and you were intrigued because like if you could track this game down, I think you should. And I'm not saying that I condone emulators, but I can't stop you if you already have one or decide to get one in the future. And if you do have one or decide to get one in the future, if you're already emulating, you might as well get it. But you could also like be legit about it and buy it or like look into options for it. Yeah, so because like I had so much fun with the game, and one of the other big things that I would have mentioned before talking about like some of my experiences with the game, and it kind of will bleed into that is the music. Music can make a big difference in games. It can set the tone, right? It can amp you up. And maybe, you're hearing some good music and you're like, yeah, and then you can get in the zone. You can get into a flow. And you know that there's math in a flow, you know? And there's math in the music. There's so much math in music. And the way like a lot of the songs are structured in the game is they play for a certain amount of time, but then they can like loop. So if you're like taking a long time, it's cool because it'll start over and everything is like structured really well. I had a hard time tracking things down music wise, but I did find like the whole soundtrack where someone just like put it up. I was hoping to like find a playlist, but someone put it up as a complete just video, and they had like time marks for the track. So I'm gonna leave that in the description. And so yeah, you should definitely check that out because oh my god, it's awesome music. What is it about the Game Boy Color that had awesome music? There's so many games that I played on there, and I just like got to be rocking out. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of math in this game. And then if you want to talk more on the meta side outside of the game, well, here's the thing, right? Like Dragon Ball is a huge franchise. It makes billions of dollars. It is still going to this very day. Like there's going to be a Dragon Ball Super movie, a second Dragon Ball Super movie coming out in 2022, and you best believe I'm going to see that. Like oh my god, it's just crazy. When like Dragon Ball Z ended back in the day, I made a mistake of watching GT. But after all that was done, it's like it felt like things were going to be finished, but they never really were because there was always some new video game coming out. And then before I knew it, they had a special like that came out like Son Goku and his friends, and then more games. And then Battle Gods happened, and then Resurrection of F, and then Super, and it was a Dragon Ball Renaissance, even though technically it was always in the air. So yeah, wait, where was I going with this? Um, I guess I don't know where I was going with this. So I'll say this: like, I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball, and this was a unique game for it, and so it was nice coming across that. And oh, money, yeah. So it was nice coming across that. And so what's really cool is like, or at least for me, is that I got this game as a gift for Christmas because like I had asked for it, and so for me, I got a lot of bang for my buck because I didn't pay for it. But even if I did, like I think I still would have gotten a lot of bang for my buck because this game is crazy. And back to the money part of Dragon Ball Z though, or Dragon Ball in general, is like Dragon Ball is a $1 billion franchise. They make a lot of games. Some of them are crap. Some of them are crap on a cracker and is awful. Um, but there are some ones that are truly stellar, and I think that this is one of them. And I like to see that because the truth is, right? Like they don't have to invest in a game like that name alone. Dragon Ball will get people to buy things, and Dragon Ball Z in particular is wildly popular even to this day. It's so popular that most of the video games out there are about Dragon Ball Z. That was like before and now, and that's wild to me because like there's Dragon Ball, and then there's Dragon Ball Z, and then there's Dragon Ball Super. You know, it's all telling the story of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z is the focus of a lot of games, and there are some that feature GT, which that's a whole different thing. But even when GT was out, it was still mostly Dragon Ball Z. But no matter how you cut it, they're going to be making a lot of money off of these games, right? Like they make money with a lot of Dragon Ball and merchandise. It's just like it's wild to me. So there was a lot of good reason to make this game, and I'm just glad that it exists because it was a Dragon Ball game that was actually really good on the Game Boy Color, and it's a turn-based fighter. It's like what the what, you know? So I have nothing but fond memories for it. And back then, we didn't have YouTube back then, although it was only going to be like 3 more years before it came out. But at the time, we didn't have it, and there wasn't a lot of reliable sites. So when I really wanted to listen to the music, I would just pop that game open, or pop that game in, and I would listen to it, and it was fun, and I liked playing it. And there was a lot of strategy that you had to employ. So there's a lot of math in this game, and I am absolutely here for it. So if you have not checked out the game, and this video intrigued you, you should give it a try and let me know what you think. And if somehow you're one of the few people out there in the world that play this, it was pretty successful, but I don't get to talk to many people about this game. So if you're one of the people who has already played this game, let me know. Let's talk about it. That being said, I'll see you on the next video. Professor Prime out.